Welcome everybody to Selective High School Placement Trial Test. We are looking at test 33 for the thinking skills portion. So as per usual, we have 40 questions today. We are going to get started with the first one straight away. So this first question was a rates question. Okay, we have to be aware of what all of these questions really entail. We are told a couple bits of information. First of all, we know that there's a microorganisms and it doubles every 2 days. It starts off as 10 parts per million, okay? And this is on Monday morning. We want to figure out how many parts per million there would be on Friday morning. Every 2 days it doubles. So after 2 days would be Wednesday. And then we add another 2 days and you finally get to Friday. And we are told that every time you add 2 days, it will double. So we're going to times 2 on this side and we get 20 parts per million. And for Friday, we're going to times 2 again and we end up with 40 parts per million on Friday, which is our final answer, or option C. Okay, 4. So there's multiple ways of doing this question. Okay, I'll show you how I did it. So first we're going to represent these different books and cards by a letter. B for books, C for cards. Okay, 3 books plus 2 cards, and they tell us that it costs $44.50. Now you might ask, why are you using these algebraic terms or abbreviations? It's because it's easier to write. Okay, and you'll see why later with what I do. The next thing is 2 books and 3 cards. Now that is $35.50. Now you need to combine these in a certain way so that you can either derive the book by itself or the card by itself. There's multiple ways of doing this, okay? You can times one of them by 2 and then try and make both of them have the same number. For example, if I had times the top one by 2, I'll get 6 books plus 4 cards equals blah blah. And then you're going to try and make the B here a 6. There's actually an easier way. Okay, I'm going to add. And why am I doing that? I end up with 5 books and 5 cards. And that is equal to $80. Now, if you think about 5 books and 5 cards, each of these books are the same cost and each of these cards are the same cost. We want to figure out what one card and one book is. So actually, 5 books and 5 cards is the same as saying, hold on a minute, I'm going to group the book and the card together, and there's going to be 5 lots of that, right? Then I'll still have 5 books and 5 cards. This is equal to $80. Therefore, book and a card by itself is equal to 80 divided by 5. And that's $16, which is option B. Secret rule connecting first and second row. What is the missing number? Now, this was a tricky one for me to figure out as well. Okay, so if you actually got it in the first go, then lucky you. This is really up to luck, but I'll show you how I figured it out. Okay, I tried multiplying and I realized there was no set way of multiplying this, okay, to get the last answer. So I figured out the difference. The difference in this case was plus 9. Plus 7, plus 10, and plus 6. Now this made me realize, how do I get from 4 to 9? 4, 5, right? You add it together, get 9. What about the next one? How do I get from 2 to 7? You go 2 times 3, right? And you get 6 and then you plus 7. Basically what I'm trying to imply, okay, is that there actually is a rule of times 2 and then you plus 5. Okay, that is the rule. So times 2, you get 8, plus 5, you get 13. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 8 equals 9, and plus 5 equals 9, sorry, and so on. So the last one, we have 6 times 2 is 12, and you plus 5, you get 17, or option A. So that in the beginning was a bit of a spiel. That's just how it works in my head. Obviously, you don't need to follow that rule, and there might be a better one that works for you. So please try and find that for yourself. Okay, next one. So you want to figure out whose reasoning is correct. So let's go through it. Let's look at the box information. The curabili is the only bird in the world which produces milk, and if it has blue feathers, only produces blue milk in the summer. Now Molly says, this curabili produces blue milk and it is now summer. This means it must have blue feathers. Is this correct or not? We actually can't infer that. The reason being, the inverse is not always correct. Okay? It said, if it had blue feathers, they will only produce blue milk. But in this case, we start with the blue milk, and a bird that produces blue milk, and it's summertime. We are inferring that they must have blue feathers. It's not the same. Okay, it's kind of like saying chocolates are a type of sweet. Doesn't mean all sweets are chocolate. Okay, that analogy works same as this. So Molly is incorrect. I want to put an X next to Molly's name. Shelley says, this bird produces red milk. Again, as soon as I see this, the red is a very big red flag. Okay, should be a sign for you guys, because this topic only talks about blue milk and blue feathers. So even if the logic is correct, we cannot extrapolate. We cannot extend this information to something that is not applicable. So Shelley is also out. Now Steve says, this bird produces milk during summer and has blue feathers. So we're starting with blue feathers this time, okay? The color of the milk must be blue. Steve is correct because he actually follows the information in the box word for word. It is summertime. It has blue feathers. Therefore, the curabili bird will only produce blue milk. Okay, so Steve is the correct one. Give him a big green tick. And that means that option C is the correct one. Feel free to have a read of the solutions here by pausing the video now. Okay, 14. Code is written in the alphabet. Road is written 363028. This is straight away a red flag for me because I know that the alphabet only has how many letters? It only has 26. And we are hit with two numbers that are bigger than 26. However, these numbers are all even, which means they're divisible by 2. So we're going to give that a go. If I divide this by 2, I get 18, 15, 1, and 4. And what do you know? This is a direct correlation with the alphabet. We have 1, 4, and 15, and 18. We want to write the word over, okay? So we are going to circle over, O-V-E-R, okay? And the letters actually should be 15, 22, 5, and 18. Remember, we have to times these by 2 to get the final answer. Let's go with blue. 30, 44, 10, 36, which is option B. Which two statements tell us that Singapore is closer to Sydney than Bangkok is? The answer here is option D. Okay, so the two statements are number 3 and number 4. Reason being, number 3 says, let's get yellow. Distance from London to Sydney is 17006 kilometers. Distance from London to Singapore is 10,717. London to Bangkok is 9,469 kilometers. Okay, so those two combined will tell you, okay, ultimately that Singapore is closer to Sydney than Bangkok in relation to London. Okay, number 22. I'm a solid and I have 6 faces, 10 edges, and 6 vertices. Faces are those flat sides, edges are the corners, okay, or not the corners, the sides of the shape where two faces join, and vertices are the corners where three edges join together. So, which one? A. Okay, so think about a pentagonal pyramid. Pent means 5. Okay, so we have 5. It will look something like that. Okay, not a great diagram, but you get the point. There's 6 faces, 1 on the bottom, 5 on each of the sides. 10 edges, yes, 5 on the bottom and 5 connecting the base to the apex or the top. And 6 vertices, 1 at the apex and 5 on the bottom. So A is the answer. Okay, whose reasoning is correct? We know that all pets that weigh over 10 kilos, so not 10 kilos exact, over 10 kilos, are not permitted on public transport. Cats that have black or white fur are also not allowed on public transport. Now, this is not true, okay? This is not reality, but you have to believe what is given. So Thomas says, I own a cat called Snowball. She does not have black fur or white fur. Unfortunately, my cat weighs 10 kilograms, so I cannot take it on public transport. Thomas is wrong. Why is he wrong? He actually can. Because if his cat Snowball weighs exactly 10 kilograms, then it is not over 10 kilograms. It's exactly 10, not over. Therefore, you can bring it on. But Thomas said the wrong thing, so it's wrong. Antonio says, I have a dog that weighs 5 kilos. However, since my dog has black fur, I cannot take it on public transport. Antonio is wrong because the statement doesn't talk about dogs, only cats. Okay, so Antonio cannot assume the same applies for dogs. So both are wrong. So which one is correct? Neither, or option D. Okay, 38. This one we had to draw a quick table to compare the two, okay? So we have company A and company B. And the two parameters that we are comparing are money as well as the time taken. You might quickly realize that company A and company B both actually take the same amount of time. They're just expressed differently. 4 days is the exact same as 96 hours. Okay, so we'll just write 4 days for both. So that is not a good comparative measure because they're the same. So the money must be the thing that is changing. We know that company A charges $70 per parcel. Okay. And we know that company B charges 9.9 cents per kilometer per parcel. Why is that important? Well, 9.9 cents per kilometers, we want to travel 700 kilometers. So you're going to do 9.9 cents times 700, and you actually end up with 693 cents, or $69.3. Okay? Let's just write the actual number. 69.3. We know that A is $70. So now can you tell which one's more worth it? It's B, right? It's cheaper. So the answer option C is the correct one. Company B, because shipping is cheaper per parcel. And this very last question. Okay, group of letter, which one comes next? So the pattern is moving the first letters at once, second letters at once, and so on. L, M, N, O. The next one is P. And we'll write it big. Next one. I would have chosen B, but there's another option, none of these. Okay, and that could very much be the case. So let's keep going. C, E, G, I is our next one. C, E, G, I. We're skipping one. So we need to get K. Look how easy it is to write this alphabet down, right? It's so easy to just use and get the pattern correct. W, U, S, Q, W, U, S, Q. We're going backwards, okay? But we're skipping one as well. We get O. P, K, O is the final answer. Obviously, none of these are true, so option D would be your answer. Let's quickly do some takeaways for this test. So the first one I want to do is for letter questions. Okay, for letter questions, make sure to write out an alphabet, okay, neatly at the top of your page. This allows you to use it for multiple questions that may be in the exam. Okay, so what's another thing I want to talk about? We want to talk about geometry questions, okay, just briefly. Geometry questions. You should have, okay, a basic understanding of 2D and 3D shapes. And I'm pretty confident that most of you guys do have that, okay, because it's part of your normal school activities. So you can try and revise this, okay? Try and revise this, okay, if you can. So like area, perimeter, all of these terms, circumference, it's like circle stuff. What else is there? Angles, okay, angle sum in shapes, and 3D geometry as well. So it's really good to just keep that up to check because you're going to need to use it, not just in this test, but in the near future too. So that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Okay, if you don't understand anything, please go back and re-watch that bit or re-watch that portion to try and consolidate your learning. Till next time, hope you guys have a lovely week and I will see you then.